Here's a little gift before you take Unit 3 test. I'm going to show you a few things about this. You have 7 questions, 26 points. I'm going to go really fast through this, so buckle up and let's see if it helps out. For this first problem, we are talking about recognizing if any of these ordered pairs, if any of these ordered pairs are solutions for this graph. Take a look at what I've given to you down here at the bottom. If you need help with this question, you can get a hint. This is on pretty much every question that I have here. Your hint is substitute each ordered pair into the equation to see if it makes the equation true. What we want to do with that is we want to go up here and pick one of these. Oh, let's start with C. Just see what that one looks like. We know in C that the x coordinate is 1, the y coordinate is 2. So I'm going to take my equation and I'm going to substitute 1 in for x plus 4 times y, which is 2, and see if that equals 20. The easiest way to check that is 2 times 1. Simplify. 2 plus 8 equals 20. I don't think so, Mr. Quilter. That's a false statement. Since that's a false statement, what does that tell us about the solution right here? This one right here? Well, that tells me that it doesn't make that equation true. So I venture to say that that point is not on the graph. Do that same thing for all the rest of them. Find out which ones are true and which ones are not. And what you'll pay attention to with this one or this problem is worth 2 points. There are exactly 2 answers for this problem. Number 2, this talks about high temperatures over a certain amount of time for 4 different cities. Line L is Lubbock, Texas. M is Memphis, Tennessee. P is Phoenix. And N is New Orleans. What we need to pay attention to down here, what I'd like to point out is right here, the high temperature in Lubbock. This is line L. So we're saying line L increased as time passed. Or line number B, the high temperature in Memphis, M. So it is line M decreased steadily. The initial high temperature was warmer in Phoenix, line P, and then Memphis, line M. So you want to compare line P to line M. And then the high temperature in Phoenix, P, rose faster than the temperature in New Orleans, M. Pick whichever one is the true statement, and then you'll be on your way with that one. Number 3, compares Jada, Diego, and Lynn and how much money they earn. We know Jada earns twice as much as Diego. Diego earns twice as much as Lynn. Well, that should tell me who makes the most amount of money right there. If Jada is making twice as much as Diego and Diego is making twice as much as Lynn, that tells me that Jada's making the most and and Lynn is making the least. So you need to pick which graphs, like it says, which graphs represent this situation of how much money Jada, Diego, and Lynn earn for each amount of time worked. Pay very close attention to how that situation worked out on there. And choose the right one or ones. Number 4, you have 4 different lines that are graphed on this coordinate plane. Again, we have this need help with this question. Here's a hint. Each equation will be written in slope-intercept form. So y equals m times x plus b, where y and x are the coordinates, m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. Remember that the equations for zero slope and undefined slope might look a little different than simply having y equals m times x plus b. Little things that we can pay attention to right here, if you're talking about line M, something I noticed right away is line M has a negative slope. Well, and I know that my slope is always the coefficient of x, so I want to be really careful not to duplicate that negative symbol right there when I go and make my selection. I do have that option of -2 or +2. Remember that when you take a negative times a negative, it makes it a positive. So be really, really careful with that piece. I do want to be able to figure out what the slope is right here. And then I need to be able to figure out my y-intercept right here. And that should tell me those couple of pieces and how those values will work as we work on these problems. Be really careful to think about what it means to have an undefined line, like right here, versus a line with a zero slope right here. Go back to lessons 10 and 11. for extra help with this one. Question 5 talks about some runners 1, 2, and 3. Your job is to determine which runner is the fastest runner, and then how you know. When we look at runner 1, when we look at fastest runner, we're talking about their constant, whoops, that was funny, that moved. When we're talking about these runners, we're talking about a constant speed. And think about that piece. The fastest runner will have the best constant speed for running. And then we have to find that constant speed by finding the slope in each of these values. Okay, remember slope on the table can be found as the change in y divided by the change in x. Okay, so when we look at this one, the change in y is adding by 9. This one is increasing by 2. So that would be, whoops, not 9, 18. 18 divided by 2, and that will tell you the constant rate of runner 3. All of these rates are in miles per minute, so pay close attention to that piece that you don't get it wrong, or the distance that they can travel in that amount of time. In the second part of this is where we answer the question, which runner is fastest pace. All you're going to do is tell me which runner. 1, 2, or 3 goes right here, whichever one you think it is. And then down here, you're going to tell me how you know. You really, really need to tell me about the slope in here. All 3 runners. Compare all 3 runners' slopes down there to get the best outcome for this one. Question 6 is talking about downloading songs. So I guess maybe we're playing with iTunes or something here. But we need to pay attention to what's actually been given in this situation. Is that it cost me 50 cents. Oh my goodness, I don't know why that keeps doing that. 50 cents. Sorry about that. Let's try one more time. 50 cents to download an individual song, $4 to download an album, and Jada has 15 bucks to spend. So we need to think about that, complete the table showing it. If she bought 6 songs, that's at 50 cents a piece, right? That's $3. So how much does she have left? She has $12. How many albums can she buy on that one? Go ahead and work on all the rest of these. This one right here is times 4. This one is times 50 cents. So pay attention to those pieces. Completing the equation, just look right up here at the situation. And it's going to tell you about those pieces when we're talking about the number of songs. S, those are the individual songs. A is the number of albums. And we're always talking about the number of albums and the number of songs. So make sure you get those numbers right inside of there. How much is it per song? How much is it per album? When you look down a little bit further and we're talking about comparing the graphs, which graph shows the equation of the line, the correct equation of the line, we have to double check a couple things. Always, always, always. The very first thing you need to look at are the labels. Are the labels the exact same? Because if they're not, then we're talking 2 totally different scenarios. So always check the labels. In this case, number of individual songs is the same on X, and number of albums is the same on Y. So I know that my coordinate planes are set up the exact same. That means now I can check these lines and see which one of them actually match the correct information from the situation. Last question is another one of comparison. Only this time talks about Han. He's buying a new cell phone. It has 2 parts, part A and part B. In part A, Han is buying a phone. His plan cost him $200 to start out. Really important right there. You know that he's going to pay that value, and then it costs him $50 each month. We know that's his rate that we're looking at. So the total cost, like looking at right here, this first part, what is the total cost, meaning the startup fee and monthly charge to use the cell phone plan for 1 month? So talking about the startup fee plus 1 month. What is the total cost for any number of months? Well, this is now going to be your equation in slope-intercept form. Only right here, you'll notice there's no space for a y. but it would basically look like this: y equals, and then you need to have these other values that are given to us about what makes up the total cost for any number of months. Realize here's your x over here, so you need to know where to put that rate. The final question for this part A talks about which graph shows the cost of the cell phone plan over 2 years. So you need to, again, think about what I told you in the previous problem. Compare these graphs, every little bit of it. Compare the labels, compare the lines, compare all of it, and make sure you're choosing the right one. The final part to this is one big question about the cell phone plans. Is this cell phone plan up above in this problem? Is this a proportional relationship? Is there a proportional relationship between time and the cost of the cell phone plan? So the whole question is this situation proportional? What I'm really going to be focused on is this: explain how you know. Be very, very concise in what you do with this. Look for the hints, look for the help, and I am excited for you to take this test. Thanks for watching.